we've got the text moving, but we would also want the text to perhaps change its opacity. So obviously it's gonna start from 0 opacity, go up to the 100, then when it's going away, it's fading out as well. So stopwatch on the first frame, move to the position of the second frame, click on a stopwatch to create the keyframe, go back to the first keyframe, and with the opacity selected, we go to the opacity, to our layers, and reduce the opacity to 0. Now if we move the current time indicator, you'll see that the text actually fades in to the animation. Okay, now if we go to the third keyframe, we put the stopwatch because we want this within this space from whatever keyframe it is, from the second keyframe to the third keyframe, we want the text to be 100% opacity. And then on a fourth keyframe, which we're just creating, we want it to go back to 0 opacity. Okay, so everything looks like that so far. So fine. Now we've got our text sorted out, so we can close this layer. Let's go to our bubbles. Now we want our bubbles to fade in and move a little bit as well. So start with the position. We can actually open this one so that we know where exactly are the keyframes of the text actually. So if we use the opacity, let's say layer, and we just move the arrow to the right, it's gonna go to the next keyframe actually on this specific layer. And now we can create the position as well on this one on our bubbles layer. Then we're gonna go to the third keyframe, we place the keyframe there, and a fourth one, and we also apply the keyframe for the position of the bubbles. Now we want them to perhaps move from a little bit more to the left. There we go, it's gonna move to the right, or maybe we can actually take them off the stage for the first one as well, or something like this, because it doesn't have to really be that much. Okay, that's fine. And now from this keyframe, I want the bubbles to move slightly down and to the right. Is okay. Not entirely sure whether I should go from the left and then start going down. Perhaps that's not the best. Not the best option. But well, let's keep it this way. You can do it whichever direction you want them to go. And the last keyframe, we want them. Actually, we can delete this keyframe and recreate it, because obviously the position of the previous keyframe is different. So now we can actually make sure that you're actually on the keyframe. We can rapidly remove them from the stage actually. So it's coming in, moving, and going off together with the text. That's okay. Now opacity, the same thing. Click on a stopwatch. First keyframe, we go to the next keyframe, then we go into the next, and the last one, which will be, we go into the layers, we change the last one to 0, and we go to the first keyframe and change the opacity to 0 as well. Now it all starts making sense. Okay, that's fine. So we've got this part done. Now once we got to the last frame, what we want to do is to move the entire layer, the background layer with the gradient. We want this background layer to move down and reveal the other layer. So we're on the last keyframe. Let's click on the position stopwatch on our background layer. Then let's move the current time indicator to the right a few frames, create a new keyframe, and this time move the entire thing off the stage. Okay, so that's how it's gonna work. animating, and we're changing the stage. Okay, we can close this one. Group 1, sorry, that was group 1. Now we're going to group B. First thing, we want our background layer to obviously move down when the previous layer goes down. Actually, let's go to the group 1 and get back to the to the first frame of this layer, keyframe, and click the stopwatch of our other background layer, then go to the next one when it's going down and create the keyframe for this one and move this layer actually down. Where is it actually? Let me just, oh yes, because it's obviously hidden at the moment, so I need to make it visible for. Okay, let's have a look at this. Okay, this is just revealing the layer, so it's scrolling down. That's fine. Our layer, actually, what I've just realized, we're really not moving this layer because there's no need for moving this layer. This layer can just stay in place. This one simply will go down and reveal the content of this one. So we can actually remove this keyframe for the time being.